I can confirm that he wants us to take steps to get the report nullified and set aside.
How would that happen?
Well, the process of the inquiry was blatantly unfair. I think it's an understatement to say that we were dissatisfied with the way the inquiry was actually carried out. And, I'd go so far to say is that the proceeding itself was almost like a joke.
Ms. Devachande, in what way was it unfair?
Well, it was ridiculous to the point where, in terms of the legislation, the client was allowed to have legal representation. But we were there just basically to comply with legislative requirements. We were not allowed to participate to the point where we had to actually stop the proceedings and bring an application to allow us to re-examine our client and give context to his testimony.
What are the chances of getting this report nullified, do you think? Would it not be better for your client to be investigated and simply have his day in court?
Well, I think it's important to be able to bring the truth to the public, and we can't do that if we leave this kind of report, which is full of inaccuracies. There was a lot of evidence presented at the inquiry that is actually not reflected in the report. So it actually would be in public interest for us to get something that is more accurate and comprehensive released to the public.
What do you mean by accurate and comprehensive?
The report should reflect all the evidence that's presented before it. The report has excerpts of affidavits and evidence given, but it doesn't reflect everything. The investigators did allude to the fact that there was a predetermined outcome, even prior to the conclusion of the investigation and the inquiry. So everything in the report supports what was needed to be found rather than what actually happened.
You're making a serious allegation. You're suggesting that there was bias as far as the Reserve Bank is concerned.
Well, I don't know whether it was directly from the Reserve Bank, but we did definitely raise a concern that there might be bias in the investigation.
Who did you raise that concern with?
During the inquiry.
And what was the response to that, and how did you raise that concern?
They made a note of it, and they continued with the inquiry.
Does your client at any point want to cooperate with an investigation as far as the Hawks are concerned, or is he simply pursuing this path of nullification?
Look, our client's been fully cooperative. He was fully cooperative with the inquiry as a whole. And obviously I can't comment on anything going forward until I speak to my client.
Let's look at some of the findings, if we can, and you'll tell me whether this is true or not, whether he accepts this. So first of all, your client knew about cash shortfalls, but still signed off on its financials. The report itself seems fairly emphatic in that regard, doesn't it?
Well, it's a little bit difficult for me to be able to comment on the content of the report until such time as we have instituted the proceedings, because I do have to protect my client's interests going forward. So I would prefer not to comment on anything until we have instituted proceedings.
When you talk about instituting proceedings, just remind me again.
Clear.
When you talk about instituting proceedings, you're talking about seeking that nullification.
Yes, regarding the content of the report.
So
it will become clear as we go forward.
So if I put you, for instance, that one of the other aspects of the report is obtaining facilities from VBS which were not declared to KPMG, again, you will give me the same answer as far as that's concerned?
Yes, yes.
Did he act alone when he was signing off on these financials, or are there other people, to the best of your client's knowledge, that were involved in this?
Look, in terms of the audit process itself, it's not possible for one person to sign off on an audit.
But he carried the can. I mean, the reality is he was the senior auditor, wasn't he?
He is the senior auditor, yes.
There are also allegations that your client's wife benefited from this, Ms. Devachande, also saying that a company owned by his wife, Jacqueline, procured one of 3 vehicles allegedly used to enrich the former KPMG executive. Are you representing his wife, and is that allegation true?
Look, nothing's been brought officially, legally against Mr. Malaba's wife. In the event that something is brought forward, yes, then we will act on her behalf. And like I said, everything will become clear when we institute our proceedings, and we will then address all the allegations made.
When do you plan to do that, Ms. Devachande?
Well, the team is meeting this weekend to go over the report more intently, and we should be commencing shortly, probably by next week.
And again, it would simply be a civil matter, from what I understand. You would then seek through the courts to have this process nullified. What do you think your chances are?
Yes. Based on the conduct of the inquiry, I think we do have a strong chance of getting the report set aside.
You also talk about the process being unfair, but you also talk about information being left out, which I'm assuming you're suggesting, because that could very well exonerate, or at least to a degree of exoneration as far as your client is concerned. Share that with us if you can. Help me understand that. What was left out?
Look, there was a lot of context and explanations that were brought about. Some of the allegations that are made in the report that are left as undisputed, which is not accurate.
Such as what?
Like I said earlier, I can't go into detail until we've actually instituted the proceeding.
Ms. Devachanda, how does your client feel? Is he aggrieved?
I think he's extremely aggrieved, especially since he was extremely cooperative throughout the whole procedure. He made all information available. He answered all the questions. They asked us, we attended, I think, 4 times at the attorney's offices. So he is extremely aggrieved by the fact that, this report has come out as completely one-sided. On
the record, can you put for us who represented him at his at the hearing with those who were compiling the report? Did he have the services of an advocate?
Yes, he has. It was myself and Dali Mpofu.
So you can confirm for us that it was the Dali Mpofu, the national chairperson of the Economic Freedom Fighters?
Yes, I can confirm that he was part of the legal team.